Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and Phantasmal Flames is right around the corner. And as much as I love to say, and let's be honest, most people would love to say, oh, there's all these awesome new decks that are going to shake up the metagame, and we're gonna have some really cool new developments. We all know that's kind of not true, just in general, and with Phantasmal Flames being a bit of a weaker set, it's not like horrendous. I guess it's not good. I'm not gonna lie. It's not terrible though. There's definitely some good cards for different decks, and I think every deck has probably something to get out of this set. This video is aimed at the top meta decks, and yeah, most of the top meta decks, but I will be talking about a few cards for other decks as well. But if you have any questions about your favorite deck that's not mentioned in this video, make sure you leave that down below in the comment section. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe as well. It really helps out support me and the channel and like and all that good stuff. But anyways, this set has a handful of interesting cards in it. That's not the right tab. Here we go. First of all, the one card that is probably like a potential inclusion in any deck is Battle Coliseum. This is a stadium here preventing damage counters being placed on bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponents, by effects of attacks and abilities from your opponent's Pokemon. Yeah, this is obviously useful against a handful of Pokemon, specifically Dragapult EX, Dusknoir, and Munkidori, three highly played and powerful cards in the game. I'll talk about those throughout the video because we are talking about those cards because they're in top decks, as well as Frostlass there, and maybe something else I'm forgetting. But yeah, this is useful. It's not amazing in every deck, but it's definitely consideration in a lot of different decks. It's especially good in single prize decks or decks with a lot of single prize Pokemon on the bench, or just like previous evolutions, which is a lot of decks in the game. So it's definitely a card to keep in mind. It's not insanely powerful in terms of it's somewhat situational. It's not a card that's helping you in the sense that it's like getting your game plan up and going, but it is definitely a card to consider. The only card that could be an option really in any deck. The other trainers aren't that universal, though the other trainer that is like kind of is somewhat universal is the Supporter Dawn. Probably the best card in the set, searching a deck for a basic stage 1 and stage 2, putting it into your hand. There's a few decks in this video we'll talk about that specifically really like it, but in a wide variety of different decks, this could be useful. So definitely, a card to consider here in stage 2 decks, and could be good in some not quite top tier decks like, say, Mega Venusaur or something like that. But then we also have the last, or we have two cards I'm going to talk about that I don't think are really in other lists that we're going to talk about in this video. The one's Mega Lopunny EX. We'll talk about this a tiny bit later on, but it does for 1 energy. Pretty much it does 230 for 1. You need to switch in, but that's not too hard to do, and it is colorless as well. Overall, it's a card playable in a variety of different decks, though it's not super splashable. It is a 3-prizer, and it is an evolution. So it's not like just one of tech, and it requires you to switch as well, but it is a card that lends itself to some different strategies, and one of the better Pokemon, if not the best Pokemon from this set, I think. So yeah, do keep this one in mind here. It can be played as its own deck as well. This video is not really focused on cards that can be their own deck. Mega Lopunny kind of can. Same thing with like the Darkness package and stuff like that. It can be its own, but probably better part of other decks as well. But then there's also the item here, Jumbo Ice or Jumbo Ice Cream, I think it's called. And it says you heal AD from your active that has 3 or more energy attached to it. This one is useful in a variety of different decks. That's the reason why I didn't highlight one deck to show this card off and its use cases. They're pretty much all wall-based decks. You have Mega Kangaskhan, Crustle, Giraffe EX. What else do we have? There's Milotic EX, I think. Yeah, we got Iron Thorns EX. There's I think there's some other one, another one. Yeah, Cornerstone Master Ogerpon EX is a big one there as well, and there's some other options as well. Overall, it's not the most interesting card, but it is useful for these decks that have these high attack cost Pokemon that are aiming for a slower game plan and stopping damage from different sources or reducing it. Obviously, healing is useful in those situations, so a decent card, but it's not for one deck. It's for a few different decks that have a lot of similarities within them, but did want to mention that there as well. But hopping into the first deck we're talking about, these are also no particular order. Well, they're in the order that I like, reverse order of when I selected them. But anyways, the first deck here is Gardevoir EX. Gardevoir EX is getting what's it getting that's new? It's not really getting too much that's new. It's getting the new Mega Dansey EX. Mega Dansey EX is useful as a 2 energy attacking option here, which can do decent damage. It has a different weakness, and it's moderately tanky. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this card, but I think it's like all right in Gardevoir. I've talked to some people who play Gardevoir as well, and just like a lot of people in the community, in like comment section and stuff like that. And yeah, I think most people think it's like okay. I haven't heard anyone saying this card's like absurd, but it's certainly all right. We've seen a lot of different options within Gardevoir EX. We see. I mean, this deck, it's a toolboxy deck, right? You have stuff like Screamtail, Frillish, Drifloon, different attacking options, and like, just different options within the deck. Mega Dansey EX is another one of those, a big finisher. Probably going to be, I want to say it's better than Gardevoir or Mega Gardevoir EX within Guardy. I don't know if that's actually true. I don't know exactly how good Mega Gardevoir EX is. I got a ton of hype because it was, I believe, the first Mega revealed, first or second. It was revealed alongside Mega Lucario there. And yeah, it got a lot of hype there, and it like fit really well with Gardevoir EX. It literally has the name in its name. But yeah, Mega Dansey EX is a nice little option within the deck. It's not crazy or redefining the deck or anything, but it is useful in some situations. Though again, it is a 3-prizer, which can be bad. So it has some issues, but it's definitely all right. Then we have the next deck here. This is a Darkness deck, so, kind of looking for Gardevoir there. And this is Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX. There is a new tool card here, which is Punk Helmet. I think that's the only new card in this list here. This says if you're damaged, and it's a Darkness Punk, and this tool is attached, you put 4 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon, which is useful. You want extra damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. Of course, the deck in general is aimed at doing that. And the main reason I am highlighting Marnie's here is not the new tool. The new tool is like, okay, it's not particularly good, but it's fine. I mean, it's some extra damage sometimes. Your opponent kind of has control over it. That's why it's not super good. But it is searchable all for Arven. Arven, how many tools are you actually running? Mostly, you're looking at like TMs or an air balloon and stuff like that. So ultimately, it has like some value, but yeah, I mentioned earlier there's the Stadium Battle Coliseum stopping damage counters being placed on your opponent's bench Pokemon. When I say damage counters, I mean damage counters Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX does damage to the bench. Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX's damage would be stopped by something like Shaman. Munkidori and Frostlass are not stopped by Shaman. Dragapult EX also wasn't stopped by Shaman. I think most people are aware of that, but in case you didn't know, Shaman just stops damage. Then the stadium stops damage counters, so they're stopping different things here. But yeah, the stadium will be stopping Frostlass and Munkidori. One thing that I'm not sure if I said this about the stadium, but I'm sure I thought it, and that's that it's a stadium that's like a countery stadium, but your opponent can generally bump it before it has a chance to stop them. But that's not actually true with Frostlass. There isn't actually a time to react and stop Frostlass or remove the stadium that's stopping Frostlass's damage counters on the first turn that your opponent plays it, because it happens during Pokemon Checkup before you actually have a turn to play if you're the Marnie's player. So did want to mention that there. It's a little bit better against Frostlass, I guess, for that reason. But I mean, it's really annoying for Frostlass and Munkidori here, trying to go after your opponent's bench Pokemon, which is something you're kind of looking to do. Generally, Munkidori isn't the most powerful Pokemon for going after bench Pokemon, but paired with Frostlass here and Mars Grimmsnarl EX's bench damage and things like that, you're going to be... This is the deck where you're looking to do that. Gardevoir can do it as well, but I'd say that's not as huge of an issue. I will say the deck has like a lot of stadiums, generally a pretty high amount. It has like Secret Box as well, so it's not a huge issue in my opinion for this deck, but it is something that is worth mentioning that Mars Grimmsnarl EX players do need to be watching out for, which could cause problems at times. But again, you do have counterplay to it. Then we have the next deck here. This is Alakazam. Alakazam I wasn't originally going to include because, one, let's be honest, it's not that good. It's a single prize deck. Single prize decks tend to struggle against, spread decks, but just different things. And also, if your opponent like Iono's you a bunch, which Iono, if you didn't know, is a very good card, it's going to end badly for you. So Alakazam isn't like super amazing. However, it's getting some really, really nice new cards from the set. There are 3 of them featured in this list here. Of course, we have the Stadium Battle Coliseum. I was just talking about it. And yeah, it's really good here. You have to play a bunch of basics which don't have 70 HP. That is really sketchy. Against like Dragapult or other things like that, it's not always too much you can do. You can kind of get just like wiped out. Battle Coliseum will hopefully protect you there. It might not necessarily protect you, but it might. If it always protected you, you wouldn't need Psyduck to stop Dusknoir. I mean, that's not entirely true, but it's mostly true. Battle Coliseum is by no means an 100% stopping of your opponent's spread damage, but it could be the thing you need to win. Additionally, there is the supporter Dawn, which I mentioned earlier, getting basic stage 1 and stage 2. This is the deck where it shines the most because you have a bunch of really good stage 1s and an important stage 2 you need, which you want lots of copies of, and also you have like a lot of basics, as every deck does. So yeah, Dawn's just like super good in this deck. It's not super well into the deck, and is actually a supporter you can be looking to use. Oh, and also it gets you 3 cards, right? So it's increases your hand size by 2. That's something I haven't mentioned with Dawn in the past because it only really matters for Alakazam. But yeah, increases your hand size, and you care about your hand size, so that's pretty important there. And yeah, I mean overall it fits super well into the list and is a really cool card for the deck. For relatively obvious reasons, which I just went over there. There was more nuance if as well, but I mean it slots really well here. Then we have the A-Spec Enriching Energy, which is not new. However, this is a colorless energy, but you draw 4 when you play it. The idea is you attach it to the Dunsparce to draw cards. You can do this repeatedly. However, it is your attachment for the turn, and if you didn't know, which I'm sure you do, it's not a colorless attacker here, so you can't attach it to your active to attack with. So you need to get the energy on some other way or have, an extra turn, which I guess is getting the energy on another way. And the way to do that is with a new item card, Wonder Patch, which allows you to accelerate a basic Psychic from your discard to one of your bench Psychic Pokemon. You could keep the Alakazam on the bench, send it up using Dunsparce probably as a pivot or something like that. Probably Dunsparce is a pivot, but could be Badoo. And yeah, I mean, you could just do that. Or you could also get another Psychic on early to, there are different options there. So long story short, yeah, Wonder Patch essentially is a draw card in this deck. It's really weird in the way that it functions in this deck. Wonder Patch also super cool card. Didn't mention it earlier. I'm super excited for this card. It does not fit into that many decks very well. It fits into Alakazam mostly, but it's not like a focal point in Alakazam because you don't need that much energy or many energies. You just need like a lot of turns, and it's a special situation there. And then it can be put into there's some weird turbo-y psychic decks. There's also Slowking, I guess, but let's be honest, Slowking is kind of bad, like quite bad. It's really clunky to set up. And then there's also you might see it in Dragapult. It doesn't accelerate to Dragon Pokemon though; it's only to Psychic Pokemon. So I think that was used with maybe Energy Switch or some weird. I don't actually know how that was used in Dragapult, but it is like cool in Alakazam, and not something you're searching out, but just getting like a little bit of value off of it when you draw into it. Then we have the next deck here, which it's the really scary deck, one of the scary decks, but probably the most scary deck, which is Dragapult EX. This, of course, does a bunch of bench damage to your opponent's Pokemon, but when I say bench damage, I mean damage counters. Of course, being countered by Battle Coliseum. That's a pretty scary thing for Dragapult. You counter it back with stadiums like Jamming Tower, and that works decently well, but you kind of need to draw into it, right? You have a decent draw. You have supporters, you have Fez, you have Dracoloak, and hopefully that'll get you there, but it might not necessarily get you there. Oh, also it stops Hawlucha. I knew I was forgetting something. So yeah, Hawlucha is stopped by that as well. Completely stopped. The other ones aren't completely stopped. Dragapult still hits the active. Dusknoir can still hit the active. Munkidori can still hit the active or not. You could hit the bench actually, which could be good. Pretty rarely, Munkidori, if you're not aware, it moves damage counters, but moving damage counters first removes damage counters and then places them. So you can still remove them. You just can fail to place them if you go for the bench. But anyways, yeah, I mean you have a lot of different things here that are trying to hit your opponent's bench Pokemon, really push them out of the game there. But you can still go after their active or not use your abilities. It's not like horrendous, but it's kind of annoying there. You do also have the new supporter that we talked about, Dawn. Dawn isn't absurd in the deck because your stage 2s, well, they are important. They're not too hard to get. You're not looking for tons of them all the time. And then with Dracoloak, or like your stage 1s, Dracoloak's quite good. You don't always need Dracoloaks. You might just have them all in play already, and like Dusclops is good, but it's not like absurd. And I mean, comparing it to Alakazam, you're just looking for so many Pokemon in Alakazam all the time and so much stuff. The more just general stuff you can get, the better. Dragapult, there's a point at which you're not really looking for that many more Pokemon, so Yeah, Dawn's not like absurd in the deck, but it's a pretty nice addition, fulfilling a similar role to Hilda as like a search setup supporter there. Setup in like not turn one, though I guess is better in turn one than Hilda, maybe. I'm not sure. Kind of depends on the situation there, but yeah, Dawn's definitely a nice little card. It gets you a basic, is why it's like good turn one, but not getting the energy. I mean, it's like a nest ball turn one, so it's a except it's a supporter, so it's still pretty bad there. But then we have the next deck here, and this deck is actually, I mean, it's Mega Absol here. It's different, obviously, than like the current way people are playing Mega Absol. In Japan, looking at the decks, we see a pretty decent split between. Well, we see mostly Mega Absol with like Mega Kangaskhan. Currently, we see it in Raging Bolt. I think some of this no toxicity is at this point, but anyways, yeah, I mean, Mega Absol EX. If you're not familiar with what it does, it can do for 200, discard a card from your opponent's hand, but terminal period for just 2, you knock out your opponent's active if you have if they have exactly 6 damage counters on them. This is pretty hard to do in standard. And I think the games I played with and against the deck, I don't even know if I've seen it happen. It is like doable sometimes, but it's really situational because it's hard to set up and like getting damage counters in the right places and energy in the right places is kind of awkward, except not so much with the new Toxtricity, which accelerates a basic Psychic from your deck to one of your bench Darkness Pokemon, specifically a Darkness Pokemon, not to any Pokemon, not to Ghidorah, right? That's like the downside or the thing you can't do, but it's still really good. You then put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon, which is like kind of bad, except it's actually good because you can put them on your like Mega Absol or whatever, then move them off with Ghidorah to get the 6 damage counters on your opponent's active. Additionally, there is a Seviper. Seviper does 120 for 3 darkness, but 120 more if you have a Darkness Mega Evolution Pokemon EX in play, which would be Mega Absol, presumably. And yeah, then you're just swinging for 240 for 3 on a basic, which is pretty decent when you can accelerate to it. So definitely a decent card there. Overall, the Darkness package from the set is pretty good. Toxtricity really being the main piece there. There are also some Darkness Megas and some different things. I mean, I mentioned Punk Helmet earlier, and Seviper as well. Overall, it's a really good set for Darkness, and Toxtricity really is heading this set. Is this going to be the best way to play Mega Absol? Not necessarily. I mean, if you want to make a deck truly focused around Mega Absol, though, I think the answer is yes, I guess. I don't know, actually. This deck like still isn't a deck completely focused around Mega Absol. But I'd say it's a little more focused around it than the current deck, the Mega Absol box deck. Mega Absol certainly is a very important piece within that deck, but you also see different options within the deck there. And terminal period not really being something you can do all that often. You need like energy switches and into your opponent to hit into you but not knock you out. And you're being more of a control deck, which is cool, but isn't necessarily always going to be the best way to go. If your opponent just like outspeeds you, what are you gonna do? That being said, you're not getting like the damage counters perfectly on your board with this situation either. You need both Monkey Doors and all 3 Toxtricities with this list. Which if any of them are prized, any of those 8 pieces are prized, you can't do it in one turn. And even if you can, it's still pretty awkward. You can't actually do it in one turn unless you have an energy switch. Yeah, I think one energy switch will get you there, but it's still really clunky to do all of that. But overall, Mega Absol I think is the option to have Toxtricity is definitely a pretty cool one here and can be useful in some situations. Then we have the next deck here. This is Gholdengo EX. I'm going to say I have 2 different Gholdengo EX lists here. This one and this one. That's like Ceruledge as well. Though we have Gholdengo EX, of course, you certainly seeing Lunatone Solrock. We see the new Stadium Battle Coliseum, of course, and then we also see the Stage 1 Megalopan EX, which fits like all right within Gholdengo EX in terms of like prizing the prize trade. It could be useful. It's not necessarily guaranteed useful. You might get a single prizer knocked out, but it could be cool here. Then also it is 1 energy, like actually 1 energy. Gholdengo is like technically 1 energy. It's 1 energy attached to it, but also, like a bunch more in your hand. So having this 1 energy attacking option, Megalopan EX, I think is like just kind of like better than like Mega Lucario EX. I don't know. I don't really know how good Mega Lucario EX is in Gholdengo. I know some people have played it. I also know people have been playing Mega Mawile. I don't know how good that one is. But regardless, Mega Lopunny EX I think is like an alright option with the Gholdengo EX. Not amazing, but I think it fits alright. I want to highlight it within at least one deck here, though I did talk about it at the beginning as well. But then we have this other build of Gholdengo. This is Gholdengo Ceruledge EX. Ceruledge EX itself has also gotten some new tools within it, specifically the new Ceruledge. Oh, the new Chakra's also good. I guess searching for energies, it's like the best one. Um, it's not absurd or anything like that, but it's definitely good. Then the new Ceruledge here. This Ceruledge is actually really strong. Purgatory Slash here for one fire doing 220. If you discard 4 basic fires from your hand, if you don't, it doesn't do anything. So it is 5 energy. It's kind of like Gholdengo EX, but it fits super well within the Ceruledge EX deck, and it's a single improviser, and it hits a really nice number here. 220 is enough to one-shot, I guess, Genesect DX, which you one-shot anyways, or Teal Messer upon EX, which, again, you also hit for weakness. But more serious note, Fresnipty EX, the other Ogre-Pons. There's a few Pokemon you're one-shotting with this, like, really nicely. There's just, like, Fez you are, but Squawkabilly EX as well. You're also, one-shotting easily, so definitely a really decent attacking option that can be playable within Ceruledge EX. I think it's a nice option there. It is a bunch of fire energies, and when you're looking around at Ceruledge decks, or it's a bunch of fire energies, you might be playing fighting, which isn't fire. You might be playing metal, which isn't fire. So it is a little clunky. You need the energies in your hand, which you won't necessarily have. You have like Earth and Vessel and things like that. Things like that. You have Earth and Vessel, right? You could draw into them. There's also the new supporter card, Fire Breather. Fire Breather is an interesting card. I don't think it's particularly good. I've said this before, but I don't think it's like the worst card or anything. You search for 7 fires when you play it. That's a lot. I mean, most decks aren't playing 7 fires, are they? Maybe they are. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm just looking at like some random ones. Yeah, so like these ones just aren't. Some like you could increase the count to 7, but then they all need to be in your deck, which is super unlikely to get the full value out of it. You can increase it to like a number like, I mean, this is 9. You're still probably not going to get 7 all the time, and that's only off of the first one. Off of the second one, you're presumably getting essentially none, if not actually none, or like you're probably not playing it, right? So, Fire Breather is kind of weird within the deck. It has diminishing returns. Well, diminishing returns kind of implies it goes like it reduces a little over time. I know it like goes from super powerful to just nothing. And it's not like really a setup supporter either, but it is useful with the Ceruledge. There's some like cool things you can do. It's useful with the Ceruledge EX to get, or Gholdengo EX to get a bunch of energies into your hand / discard. And also it is useful with the new item. This is probably my favorite card from the set. I'm saying this before it comes out. I don't know if I'll love playing it, but it seems really cool. It's the item Heat Burner. I believe it's translated as Blowtorch. And yeah, you just go to basic fire from your hand to use it. Then once you do need to discard to use it. But if you can't do the other stuff, you can't use this card. The discarding is the cost, and the other part's the payoff. And then you discard a tool, special energy, or a stadium in play. The tool or special energy cannot be your own. And yeah, it's a nice little removal item here for targeting stadiums, which actually could be useful within Dragapult or something. Also, there's what was I gonna say? There is the I'm blanking. It could be useful. I don't know, just getting rid of tools, getting rid of stadiums, getting rid of special energy is really powerful. We've seen cards get rid of tools and stadiums. I mean, Jammy Tower does those kind of. And so that's useful, but getting rid of special energy is really nice. Generally, that's like more of a separate card or on like a supporter or something. So yeah, this is definitely useful in some situations. You do need to be playing fire energy. We have the next list here as well. This is Charizard. You could put Blowtorch into Charizard as well, or like Dragapult or something. Again, I just really like this card, but it's not like absurd or anything. Then Charizard, there's a new Mega Charizard. The Mega Charizard, if you're not familiar, you discard any amount of fire energy from your Pokemon. Does 90 damage for each card discarded in this way. I honestly kind of compare this card a lot to Gardevoir EX as a nice little option within Stage 2 decks. There's also a Mega Oricorio, or within the Stage 2 deck, the deck that, it's named after, Charizard EX. So the Mega goes within the regular deck, but it's not like an auto-include or anything like that. It feels like the role of one-shotting, right? Which is kind of cool there. But then there's also Oricorio EX, which accelerates to basic fire Pokemon, or no, bench fire Pokemon. It accelerates basic fire energy. If you have a Mega Fire Evolution in play, it's kind of clunky. There's only 2 Fire Megas. There's no basics, which is like kind of rough. It is useful in some situations, though, but it is a bit of a different dynamic, but useful with Mega Charizard EX. Then there is also some new previous evolutions, which are actually pretty good here. Then there is also the new Moltres. Moltres is a really cool card. There's also Dawn and Valor Coliseum, which you can include, but Moltres here, for 1 fire, you do 110 if your points active is an EX. This is useful in general as like a decent poke option against whatever, Squawkabilly, Pheasantipede, whatever, but it's also useful for one-shotting Pokemon with weakness like Genesect EX or PMS or Gardevoir EX, and it can be played in Charizard EX or Dragapult EX or Gholdengo, I guess. I think the Gholdengo list playing it are yeah, they're just like tacking it in from what I've seen as a one of with 1 fire, which seems like kind of sketchy, I'm not gonna lie, but it is something I have seen a little bit in Gholdengo, also apparently in Festival Lead. Maybe I'll try out Festival Lead at some point. It's kind of cool. Also, random side note, there's like a format in live that's being added, a trainer trial, and it's like just Festival Lead. Like it's yeah, I'll be talking about it on the podcast with Uncommon Fossil. We're gonna be venting about it because it's bad. But well, it's not like horrible, but it's kind of bad. Regardless, yeah, it's playable within any deck that's playing Fire Energy, and you don't need like a ton of Fire Energies to be playing it. It's definitely a cool little card here. It's not the, as I said, most powerful card in the world, but it's definitely a pretty cool card here. But I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.